So this slide is basically the agenda. I'll go through everything I'll talk about, and hopefully you'll feel I'll tick all of them off by the end of this presentation. First of all, we'll talk about staying in touch in the coming years. We'll talk about getting Dyalog APL and APL in general back into academia. We'll talk about training and community activities, the challenge and the forge. And we will talk about a very mysterious subtitle called the ducks in our row, which says nothing about what we're actually going to talk about. Good. And then I will wrap it all nicely up in a tight little bun so that you remember everything I said in 2 lines. Good. So, staying in touch in 2025 and 2026. As I've already told some of you, the rumors are spreading. The user meetings are very, very important to us. It's where we get to socialize with our customers. And even more importantly, our customers get to socialize and network between themselves. So the user meetings are very, 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 very important to us, and we would never not have user meetings anymore. But it's also a very, very big resource heavy activity. So we have decided to try a little experiment and go to a biannual schedule on our user meetings, which means that there won't be a user meeting in 2025, but we will be back very strongly in 2026. Yeah, so don't forget about us. We will have another user meeting, but it won't be next year. Instead, because we're not just going to go and sit in a corner and do coding only, we're still going to do a lot of community things, which is what I'm going to talk about for the next 20 minutes. First of all, we are going to relive the Dyna days. For those of you who don't know what Dyna is, it's the Dyalog North America. So we're going to have one day in the spring, probably the 7th of April. And we will have a 3-day conference in the fall, which is right now looking to be somewhere in the middle of October, right after Minnebrook. And if you don't know what Minnebrook is, it's also an APL-oriented conference in the US. And if you want to know more about it, Brian is the person to talk to. He's helping organize that conference. Good. Other than that, we will start traveling in packs. Usually we send Morten and maybe 1 or 2 other people out to the user meetings or the user groups, like FinAPL and APL Germany and SweetAPL. Next year we promise to send more than just Morten, so we will collect people who fit in with the crowd and we will send whoever fits, so we'll send bigger groups. Good. If you have any notes or thoughts or feedback about user meetings and the user groups, there's a Birds of a Feather session where we'll talk about this, so feel free to come and talk to me at that point. So one of the things we want to experiment with next year is to try and get APL back into schools. And don't get me wrong, I'm not thinking that next year I'll stand here and say now every university in the entirety of US is teaching APL as a standalone course. That's not realistic, right? But if I can stand here next year and say, okay, now 10 professors are actually teaching a block of APL as part of a math or a physics or chemistry or something class, that would be a win to us, because it would mean that 20, 15, maybe even 50 students each year get an introduction to APL as a way of calculating these natural sciences. So Dyalog is gonna partner with a marketing company who will help us get in touch with some professors who will hopefully help us provide you guys with some more potential hirees in the future. And I hopefully will be back in 2026 telling you how great it went. That's the plan. Other than that, to get back into academia, I know Gitte has talked about this before, and I'm just going to say we're still working on the APL Trust Fund. If you're wondering why it's not already out there, it's because Dyalog is a British company, So we thought, okay, if we are going to start a fund, we are going to do it in the UK. And then we asked for funders, or for founding members, and they were all in the US and EU. And we were like, maybe UK is not the best place to start out. So we've actually started from scratch, trying to fill in the needed paperwork to start a fund in the US, and then the plan is to start a related fund in either EU or UK at a later stage. And if you want to know more about where we are in that process, Jada is the woman of the hour, the one filling out all the boring paperwork. Yeah. Good. The next thing I want to talk about is training and community, and how we can help new people into our community. Because as we just saw, a lot of us are here because we either learned it from someone who was very passionate about APL, or we either in school or in a one-to-one setting. So it's very important that when newcomers come into the community to try and learn APL, that they meet up with all of the nice people in this community who are willing to help and encourage them to grow as APLers. We have the APL Orchard for this. We also have the support at dyalog.com. You are always welcome to write to Dyalog directly, and we will do whatever we can to help. We are also trying to figure out whether we should have a more formal Discord channel, because that's where the young ones hang out, apparently. I think you've seen this before. It's the front page of our new website. If you go to dyalog.com today, that's not what you see. And it won't be for a while yet, unfortunately. We're ticking off sections every month now. It's very nice, and we are hoping to get it into testing in the new year. But I will not give you a date, because we've learned from experience that that's just gonna push it. We want to focus on learning next year, which means that we've at least tried to tape some of the workshop sessions that was held yesterday, and we will also try to tape some of the ones which are held on Thursday, and we will try to repurpose those tapes into proper videos. Because as Brandon pointed out last year, we have a lot of introduction material to learn the basics of APL, but getting from that to professional APL coding, there's a gap in our material, and we want to focus on that gap next year. And because we don't have a user meeting to focus on, we now should have more resources to create these videos and content. Yeah. And as I said, we want to focus on community, which is the APL Orchard, the support line, maybe have a Discord channel, and also focus on getting out to the different user groups to relate to some of the customers who don't normally get to the user meeting, because the user meeting can be quite pricey for some, especially the smaller companies, but also the bigger companies who send many people. So we want to next year have a meeting on our expense instead of your expense. But we will be back to user meetings, I promise. Good. I think I'm okay with time. This slide is just to recap what we've done with our student competitions. They are now no longer student competitions, they're open to all. It's a two-tiered system. The first one is the APL Challenge, which is geared towards the very young or people who've never done any programming before. People who've done APL before are welcome to participate in the challenge, and you can still win. But the aim of it and the questions are targeted towards the very young and unexperienced people. Currently, I think Adam has his two boys reading through the questions before we send them out, and they are, I think, 10 and 12. Yeah. So that's the age group, and we're also aiming for 2025 that we will translate them into more languages, so that you don't have English as a minimum. So we might be in touch if someone knows APL and wants to translate into Italian or Spanish or German or anything. We do have quite a varied array of languages already, but we might be in touch if someone is interested in helping us translating some of the questions, so we can get out to more people. The second tier is the Forge. Before entering the Forge, you should probably have some prior knowledge of APL, but it's basically an incubator where you are allowed to do anything you like. And you can submit basically anything as long as it's written in APL. This year we had quite a lot of interesting cases, and on Tuesday, Holden will present his solution, which won this year's. The thoughts behind this is two-pronged. One is to get the sample code that we just talked about was important for learning. So everything that isn't commercial, we are hoping that people will just open source, so that there will be more samples on GitHub and other places where you can go in and see how things are done in APL. The other thing is, of course, to try and get more commercial customers, because while Dyalog is doing really great these days, most of the new customers we see are migrants from other APL branches, and we would really love to see new users who are writing new code in APL and not just transferring from other branches. Yeah, that's what this is about. Then we get to the ducks in our row, and I'm almost out of time. That's good. Other than that, again, internal growth. We've added more people this year. This year we've added 4 new wizards to the order. And did a little bit of magic. Ta-da! And if you can see it, you can see it, and if you can't, you can't. There's a hidden pop culture reference in here somewhere. I'm not going to say more about these people because I know Morten has slides prepared and they're all on the technical side, so I have very little clue what they're actually doing. Yeah, I will not make a fool of myself. So before I let Morten loose, I'm just going to tie it all in a bow. I'm going to work for APL. I'm going to try and steer this community to even greater heights. But I need you guys to help carry the community up. And if you have any chance of making a bit of PR for the challenges with people who don't know APL already, please do so. But otherwise, very, very welcome to this year's user meeting. And if you have any questions, I think that's now. Yeah. Good.